Denver is about to start a transformational project.
I really am very excited to see what it does to Colfax 3-4 years from now. In the interim, it's a little scary.
Donald Trump makes even more exaggerated claims about a migrant gang in Colorado. As Aurora's new police chief tells us, the gang's influence is small and needs to stay that way. A college student is warned how she planned to vote could impact her college scholarship. And it's a health clinic in a school that goes way beyond the old nurse's office. Full-service dental and medical care for whole families. That's tonight on Next.
Plenty of people have gotten torn up on Colfax over the years, but soon it is going to be the street itself. Torn up from downtown out to Aurora to put in bus rapid transit. Massive project expected to cause a lot of disruption until it's finished. Our Mark Salinger looks at what the growing pains could mean for businesses.
Welcome to Colfax Avenue. This is one of the most important streets in Denver and one of the most famous streets we have.
As iconic as Colfax is to Denver, it's also a lifeline. The buses that run along it are crucial for the city.
It's very important.
Well, it gets me where I need to be, but it could be better. But that comes in time.
Time will soon change how all of Colfax and the buses look.
So the next 3 years, we have the bus rapid transit project that's coming to Colfax.
With unanimous approval, Denver City Council last night approved a nearly $200 million construction contract to build a center bus lane through Colfax, connecting Denver and Aurora. Councilmember Amanda Sawyer says construction will start in the next couple of weeks.
Any city construction project has unintended consequences, right? And we know what some of those unintended consequences are going to be.
Construction will tear up parts of Colfax until 2027. The city is already preparing to give businesses money from a fund created to help stores impacted by the work. The Business Impact Opportunity Fund was started during the Central 70 project, then aided businesses during the 16th Street Mall construction. But there's one big problem.
It's got $1.8 million dedicated to the Business Impact Opportunity Fund. That's not enough money.
Sawyer is asking the mayor for an extra $1.1 million to make sure businesses don't close.
I really am very excited to see what it does to Colfax 3-4 years from now. In the interim, it's a little scary.
Denon Moore is taking a more grassroots approach. The Colfax Avenue Business Improvement District will be selling T-shirts at stores on the street to create an emergency fund for businesses that need it once construction starts.
This is just another big project coming to the corridor that creates a lot of uncertainty.
Colfax will change.
I think that's real swell. I think that's all right with me.
Getting to the point where construction is done could be bumpy.
We just want to let our community know that we're around.
Groundbreaking is set to start on the first station in the beginning of October. From there, construction is expected to continue nonstop for the next 3 years. A lot of businesses are weary right now about how it'll impact them because construction just finished on parts of Colfax installing new water pipes under the concrete. The business district there says that costs some stores, Kyle, 10 to 20% in revenue.
Colfax is not the only place in town where they're thinking about putting in BRT.
Yeah, CDOT is taking projects that they're potentially going to do on Federal as well as Colorado Boulevard. Those are in earlier stages, still several years away from any construction starting there, but obviously a big impact. We'll see how this goes on Colfax, and I'm sure that'll play a part in deciding whether or not to move forward on several other streets.
That would be fascinating to see on Colorado Boulevard because there's so much traffic on that for so much of the day.
Shut down some lanes on that, yeah.
Yeah, as a friend of ours who watches the program, maybe watching now, always says, no matter what the question is, Colorado Boulevard is not the answer.
We'll find out.
Find something else. It's not the answer. Mark, thank you. Donald Trump's claims about a Venezuelan gang in Aurora are getting even more outlandish, now extending to the rest of Colorado. 3 weeks ago, Trump falsely claimed on the national debate stage that a migrant gang has taken over Aurora. Tomorrow marks a week since Trump said he would visit Aurora within the next 2 weeks. No visit scheduled yet, but Trump continues to focus on Aurora on the campaign trail with increasing levels of exaggeration.
They're taking over towns and cities, and they're taking them over with weapons. They're taking them over with weapons that are military quality. Because they're going to take over a lot more than Aurora. They're going to go through Colorado, take over the whole damn state by the time they finish. Unless I become president, they won't last long.
Democratic Governor Jared Polis was all too happy to shade Trump on that today, saying that Trump is always welcome in Aurora,
but that Polis worries about the criminal elements that could come with Trump, given the fact that he's a convicted felon. Aurora's new police chief says that gang, Tren de Aragua's presence in the city is small, and they don't want it to grow. APD's been accused of a cover-up by their own Republican leaders in Aurora for pushing back on the Republicans' claims that this gang is far more widespread. Kelly Rinke joins us now after a conversation today with the new chief.
Yeah, Kyle, Chief Todd Chamberlain acknowledges TDA is in Aurora, but he says the gang is small compared to larger, more established gangs in the metro area. He says the police department's focus right now is making sure TDA stays small. So far, APD has identified at least 10 people with ties to the gang. Chief Chamberlain explained one of the biggest challenges they have right now is identifying gang members. Venezuela won't share that information, and people tend to not admit their TDA.
When I look at TDA, again, we have the opportunity to, one, stop it. We have the opportunity to address it. We have the opportunity to identify it in a way that might not be there in 2 or 3 years. So what we're doing now is really going to reflect on what happens down the road.
Chief Chamberlain said he's not frustrated by the national attention. He wants there to be collaboration on this issue, both locally and federally. Kyle.
I mean, certainly, because that collaboration could mean additional resources coming in. I know that Aurora has, for more than a month now, been working with some other regional law enforcement partners to figure out just what kind of a toehold does this gang have here, and the feds are part of that conversation.
Yeah, he wants that conversation. He's not worried about the attention on Aurora. He actually really welcomes that conversation because people are talking about this issue, and he wants it addressed before it actually does become a big problem.
Kelly Rinke, thank you. Mesa County's elections are no longer run by an election denier. Tina Peters will be sentenced in a week. But a phone call recently from the county elections office to a Colorado Mesa University student raised a red flag this morning. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains.
In a group text, a Colorado Mesa University student asked her parents, "I know it's still early, but can someone explain to me how I register to vote for the election?" Almost at the same time, both parents responded with links to the state's voter registration website. The student registered to vote in Mesa County, but wanted her ballot sent to her parents' address. This morning, that student got a phone call from Mesa County Elections.
They had an address for the college, but the zip code was incorrect. So the zip code didn't match the address. And their mailing address zip code also did not match.
Republican Mesa County Clerk Bobby Gross explained to me why the student got that phone call. But what happened during that phone call sounded a bit scammy. The student told her parents the election staff said to use her parents' house as her residential address, because that's where my scholarships are based, and they can take away my scholarships if I put my residence in Mesa County.
They suggested that she check with her parents to make sure that she doesn't want to change her residential address in case it does affect her scholarship.
I checked with Colorado Mesa University, and a spokeswoman said it is highly unlikely that a student's scholarship or financial aid would be impacted by a change of voter registration address. The county clerk suggests staff not talk about something that is outside the election office realm.
We're not experts on that. We try to refrain from making that determination. We also wanted to make sure that the voter wanted to register at the correct address, that Mesa County was her resident.
That's what the student wanted, even though a simple voter registration turned out to be not as simple.
A lot of students will do that, and then their parents will make sure that they get it, whether they come home for break or the parents might come down to visit. They might have a plan to come visit and bring the ballot.
First of all, it is not shady for a college student to be registered in one county where their college is and have the ballot mailed to a different county. Second, there apparently are private scholarships that are based on where you live, but voter registration address for a college student is allowed to be at the campus. So even if they were to change their residential address to the campus, I'm not sure if that would compromise the scholarship. But if you know about that, of a private scholarship that, hey, it's for Jefferson County or for Mesa County, and you move somewhere else, let me know if that would impact it, please.
Here's my takeaway. You perhaps have seen on the internet, like from your uncle on Facebook, like they're packing the voter rolls with all these people who are not eligible voters. And then when you actually get down on the ground level, you see that they are doing such incredibly granular work that they are calling somebody when their address doesn't match their zip code.
Right, and it's because they had a phone number or an email address. That's why the clerk could contact, because I don't think you have to put that information in. What I asked the Secretary of State today is, like when you have an Amazon delivery and you start typing in your address, it auto-populates your address. That doesn't happen with your voter registration. You can actually fat finger it and put in the wrong zip code and be wrong, and luckily the clerk can reach out to you, because if nobody fixed anything, that ballot would would have got sent and then been sent back by the post office as undeliverable, and that voter, the student, would have been an inactive voter because their ballot got sent back.
That could have kicked off a whole nother conspiracy theory. What's going on with these ballots going back and forth? Interesting look inside the process, Marshall. Thank you. So Colorado has not met air quality standards for years, and let's just say the latest report card is not about to go up on the refrigerator. And called out sick from school might get a little bit harder when your doctor is just down the hall. A partnership offering students in Denver full-service health care at school. Colorado's ozone problem has been going from bad to worse. Air quality monitors say this year's ozone season was the worst in the last decade, and the problem's spreading beyond the Front Range. For years, 9 counties in Colorado have been out of compliance with federal air quality standards, talking Denver metro area north up to Boulder, Larimer, Weld counties. Their air quality is measured year-round, but the feds pay extra attention to the ground ozone levels during ozone seasons. That's May through September. This ozone season, the counties on the naughty list violated the EPA standards on 40 different days. The state says it is the 3rd worst ozone season in the last decade and suggests that any gains that we're making in green energy are being outweighed by population growth, climate change, and the oil and gas industry.
All of the activities of a big urban area with, almost 5 million people and a large oil and gas industry and many commercial and industrial activities. We have more emissions in this region than we can sustain.
So Colorado can ask for a pass on some of the violations if we can prove that they were caused by an uncontrollable event like a wildfire putting smoke into the air. But state regulators say if you factor out wildfire smoke, human-caused pollution was still above the federal standards on most of the 40 violation days. Colorado has until 2027 to comply with the EPA standards or face possible sanctions. Meteorologist Corey Revenhagen watches ozone, among other things. A lot of things on your plate these days, Corey, but looks like we could be watching a day later this week as well.
Yeah, Thursday could be interesting because ultimately it's the solar radiation and the heat that converts regular pollution into ozone, and we'll have a lot of heat and sunshine on Thursday. If the wind forecast goes a little bit more stagnant, we could have one of the latest ozone action days we've had. But for right now, that wind forecast keeps the ozone in moderate concentrations. Here on the forecast for tomorrow, upper 80s here. All these temperatures, very unusual for 6 days away from October. Here's your day in Denver tomorrow. Lots of sunshine going up into the upper 80s for us. We may not see a single cloud in the sky tomorrow. And then on Thursday, potential record-breaking temperature. We're forecasting 90. The record is 90. We could tie or break that. It would be one of the latest 90-degree days we've ever had. And this is also interesting. You may have felt this. We are on pace to have the hottest September we've ever had in Denver if you average up all the highs and the lows for the month. And the forecast for the next 6 days pans out. We'll have the hottest September we've ever had. And those records go back to 1872. We'll have a cold front come in on Thursday night into Friday. That will cool us off just a little bit for the weekend, but we don't have a single drop of rain in the forecast all for the next 6 days, Kyle.
There's kind of an immediate sort of different feel when you walk in. They're like, oh, this is a medical office. I'm not just going to be, at say, a classroom.
When class is in session, the doctor is in as well. Medical centers at schools, meeting students where they're at. And Denver Public Schools says it wants to be transparent about upcoming closures. Which schools? Yeah, that's secret. Denver Public Schools is considering a plan to close and consolidate more school buildings as DPS deals with low enrollment and rising costs. The district leaders say public meetings that start tonight are a way to be transparent about the closures, but they're not being transparent about which schools could be closed. District closed 3 schools a year ago. Superintendent Alex Morera says they need to close even more because enrollment keeps dropping. The district has not publicly identified the schools that will close or merge at this point. According to the district's plan, leaders are trying to identify the areas where there would be a cluster of schools that could be consolidated. The district also has to consider factors like the number of kids on free and reduced lunch and if closing a school would further segregate students by race, language, economic class. Those public meetings start tonight at South High School and they run through October. After those meetings, district will come up with a list of schools recommended for closure. Then there will be another round of public meetings before a board vote in late November. When schools shut down, they can take valuable community resources with them. More than a dozen DPS schools right now have school-based healthcare centers. This is a partnership with Denver Health. DH has been staffing school health centers inside some DPS schools since the late 1980s. The newest school health center at George Washington High has been open for about 2 years. The network of clinics offers a wide range of medical and dental and mental health care to students at no cost to families. Staff at George Washington told us it's a major relief for parents who don't have the time or the money to take their kids to an outside clinic.
So many of our families don't have cars. You know, their parents work 2 jobs. Like, there's just no way for them to keep up with those basic, you know, healthcare needs. So when a lot of parents are so relieved. It's really important because a lot of these kids don't have any other option. You know, if they don't have insurance, this is one of the few places that can be seen. So it's crucial for this to remain open.
There are dozens of those school-based health centers operating in other school districts across the state. State legislators expanded funding for those programs this year. Well, it's bad news for the mountain bikers looking to get high in Jeffco. County commissioners are going to pump the brakes on the proposal to create a mountain bike park with a chairlift access near Conifer. Neighbors did not like the idea. Last night, the Jeffco Planning Board voted to deny a special use permit for the proposed Shadow Mountain Bike Park. Developers want to make it the first lift-assisted bike park in Colorado. It would have a 15 to 18-foot tall lift. It would take bikers up the mountain and then they ride downhill. Neighbors have been pushing back, saying that they're worried about the extra traffic and noise. County commissioners still have the final say over the park's future, but they're going to take that planning board's rejection into account. We will be back with your feedback, delivered by a representative from Canada. Thank you. Merci. Next. It's a sign that John's Lane is not named for some dude named John. Take a look and you'll get the idea what they're going for. Next viewer, Justin Spear, sent us a picture of rows of toilets leading the way to a home in Weld County east of Windsor. Not clear if those are plumbed or not, but you certainly have your choice of thrones if you are the king or queen of John's Lane. And that is why folks have code and zoning in some places. If you see a sign that makes you do a double take, email it to next@9news.com, or get this, you can now text NEXT at 303-871-1491. You can text NEXT, blow me up, 303-871-1491. Bus rapid transit going in on Colfax and maybe Federal and maybe Colorado. Ken says, why not bring back the streetcars? That's always interesting, Ken. I love the maps of the old streetcar routes in Denver. My guess is they couldn't do the overhead infrastructure these days. Roger says, Kyle, if I recall, you once quoted your wife as saying that Colorado Boulevard is never the answer. It for sure did not originate with my wife. It was my wife's friend who first told it to us. I don't know who came up with it, but that person was a prophet. Derek says about the Venezuelan gang taking over Colorado, as Trump is suggesting, remarkably difficult to traverse and take over, topology alone.